Do it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to DM Writer's Room, a show where we demystify the DMing, GMing, and game-making process by coming up with monsters, magic items, lore, and systems live. You, if you have been following along dutifully to the single episode that you could have followed along with, will know that we are making a vampire-based tabletop role-playing game where you play as some brand, type, or variety of vampiric creature making their way through the night trying to live on the blood of others. In this world, we already know a couple of things, and I'm going to rattle down that list just as quick as I can without wasting too much time. There are many bloodlines of these creatures, and it's most helpful for you to think of them as something a little different from a vampire, because in our world, vampire means something very specific. In this world, vampire, while it refers to a fanged, blood-sucking, cape-wearing Dracula, mostly refers to this wide category of magic users. So in this world, there are 4 kinds of magic that are based on the humoral system of medicine. So it's sanguine, choleric, melancholic, and phlegmatic. All players in this system are sanguine. They are all members of this same family, which is united by the fact that they use blood to do their magic. We decided this because as we were debating if this was going to turn into like 4 playable games or a game with a big magic system, as we were fleshing out the choleric, melancholic, and phlegmatic, it occurred to us that just the other systems that we were naturally creating just did not lend themselves to being full systems or to being playable. So for example, right, sanguine is all about, this like kinetic driving, borrowing, taking. It's a social thing. So it kind of leads to the thought that you would be somebody who plays with other people, who interacts in a group, who flies together. Whereas choleric is that like kinetic, break it apart, burn it down, tear it down stuff. Melancholic is slow, weaving magic that takes time and is solitary and discreet. And phlegmatic is like very gentle. It's a seer gazing into the stars, weaving a spell that takes 30 years to cast. And just none of that lended itself. So we decided it would be more fun to say, if you're playing our game, this is the group you play with. Sanguine users are unified by a couple of things. We're not going to get too deep into the weeds on that. Go watch our other episode. But as they age, they get stronger. They are more damaged by the sun, and they need more blood to live until eventually, right? If they are over 720 years old, they need to kill someone. They need to drink a full person's worth of blood like every day to stay alive. So they either need to be drinking quarts of blood that they are getting a hold of through some like massive, well-connected machine that somehow nobody notices, that like gallons of blood are being skimmed off the top. Or what we decided in the moment that I think is quite interesting, most vampires just don't live that long. They die to incidents or to accidents, or far more common, after 300 years of living, when they start to feel the pressure of wanting to drink blood to live, meaning that they will need to start killing people, a lot of vampires just walk into the sun. They just decide that they are done and check out of the hotel, as it were, which I thought was very, very interesting. Now, I feel like there was one other good bit that we had in here that I wanted to add, but I'm just not seeing it right now. So let's just not worry about it. So, the sun is anti-magic. So it's not that vampires are weak to the sun's rays. Anybody being kept alive by magic needs to stay out of sunlight, which helps me understand why, liches stay in crypts and stuff like that. It's because, the sun is just bad for you. If you are a brand spanking new vampire who would still be alive logically just by nature of being, the sun doesn't hurt you at all. Blood just lets you do magic. It's pretty simple, straight up the middle. All right. So with that, we missed last stream, deeply regretful, but these things, they do happen. Now, we handed out a small homework assignment that went middlingly. The goal is to write a 250-word summary of why some cryptid outbound in the world is actually a sanguine user, is actually a kind of vampire, as we would call them in this world. This can range anywhere from, werewolves eating hearts is vampirism. That is what that is. It is the blood of the heart that keeps them going. And then, in theory, each of us has our own. I have a full 250-word write-up. Spencer's coming in just under the finish line, I believe. He said like 220. And Michael has a concept. And listen, that's half of the hard part. That's half of the hard part.
Yeah.
Welcome to Game Masters, Masters of Writing, where one of us writes a ton, the other one writes a little bit, and one of us writes just a sort of loose idea.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I will start mine. My outside the box pick is Sasquatch, and I'm just going to read this bad boy for verbatim because I'm feeling pretty good about it. Sasquatch is often thought of as a cryptid of distant relative of humanity. They are in fact a magical experiment gone wrong, the result of Sanguine magic's pliable but dangerous nature. A practitioner of Sanguine magic was trying to gain the power of a branch of evolution that never was, having learned about modern science. This form of magic, sort of borrowing from other animals, is strong but dangerous. It can result in Sanguine users becoming too stupid to undo their own spell. Many fools have winded up as giant crabs or birds flying in the sky, getting stuck as the blood that they have to take in, which is the blood of the creature. So to gain the traits of a deer, you would need to drink a lot of deer blood, suffuse them with power, but can bring along other side effects. This is difficult when you want to do what this Sanguine user did, which is turn into a beast that never existed. Their solution was to break into a local zoo and create a blood cocktail, aggregating the DNA of several distant relatives of humanity in careful amounts that they had studied cautiously. Now, it did work, but it did not work well. They became a hazy mismatch of potential cousins to modern man. Some powerful, tall, strong apes, other deadly, long-fanged killers, one of which released pheromones that made people's vision blur when they would get too close. These powers are an unsteady house of cards that this user has been balancing upon ever since. Their need for blood is sated by animals that they encounter, but over time it has dulled their minds to the point that now they no longer know how to undo the magic that has made them as they are. This school of magic is still studied, but there have been some well-known attempts to becoming non-existent species that have always failed. Notably, after the film Jurassic Park inspired a few copycats, there was a small but dangerous outbreak of were-chickens that had to be handled with the decisive hand of justice to prevent further bloodshed. So that's mine. One thing a Sanguine user can do is they can drink the blood of an animal to take on some of their characteristics. But if you try to do something careful, you can end up getting yourself in hot water. And the Sasquatch is a man who blurs the eyes of all who sees him and has been wandering the Pacific Northwest ever since, glutting himself on the blood of those creatures he comes across.
I was going to say he Jurassic Parked himself, and you beat me to it with the Jurassic Park
I got like
podcast.
2/3 of the way through, and I was like, this is some real Jurassic Park shit. And so at the end, I was like, so if you tried to be a dinosaur, what would you be? You'd be a fucking bird. You'd turn into a chicken.
This is freaking Dr. Wu for real. I've got
Spencer,
mine.
hit us verbatim. Give us the rounded version. Do what you got to do. Let's hear it.
All right. One of the more well-known, if misattributed vampires, is actually from the Greek pantheon of gods. In fact, the gods were all humoric, but several were vampires by nature. The most powerful vampire of that pantheon was Kronos. He ate his children, not because he feared their uprising and rebellion, but because consuming the blood of other humorics grants orders of magnitude more power than typical chattel. He devoured his children until one day, his cupbearer, Zeus, drank from that same cup meant to be delivered to his father. He felt that same strength rush through him and began taking tiny sips from that cup every day. After eons of drops of his siblings' blood coursing through his veins, Zeus was finally strong enough to challenge his father. He defeated Kronos, freed his recently ingested siblings from his stomach, and devoured his father, gaining all of his strength and securing his place as god of gods in his new pantheon. Fucking Zeus and Kronos are vampires.
So Kronos was like breeding Sanguine children to consume.
Yes.
Like full Saturn consumes his son style. So
Yes.
not like a vague metaphor. Like ate
Full
them.
on. Yep.
Zeus carves them out of his stomach, and the last couple are still alive. I have to assume that those that were eaten years ago were long dead, but maybe the last 3 or 4 were still wee babs.
His recently ingested siblings.
Yeah,
is
wee
what I have
babs in
down.
his stomach. That's really interesting. I like that a lot. And I love the idea that it's like Zeus is 100% a real guy. Like,
oh yeah. The cupbearer thing was my favorite part of this. It's like, yeah, Kronos eats his kid, it's obvious. But that Zeus was bringing him the cups of the blood when he was between full meals, and he could just take sips to make himself stronger. It felt perfect. So I needed to throw that in.
Absolutely unhinged. Just vile. So good. Wow. And I like, you've also added, I have to write it down. If a Sanguine user, cracks another Sanguine user like a fucking Capri Sun, there is a benefit to be gained there. There's got to be, we'll figure out, I can already tell what the drawbacks would be. You know what I mean? I think that's when you start to get Sanguine villains. Is when you start to compound powers like that.
When they're like, oh yeah, it takes 400 years, then you can't go in the sun at all. It's like, yeah, but if you drink 3 Sanguine blood bodies, you're at that 400-year mark. You have accelerated yourself to the point where the sun will kill you immediately. So there's definitely drawbacks.
And I think the other part of that is just, I think the social aspect is what would drain away.
Yeah.
Right? Like you becoming the apex predator within your group means that you abandon the social connections that you once had. So I think when you encounter, like, I'm thinking of, this is going to be absolute Spanglish to our poor audience, but I'm thinking of like Velikalos, right? This giant bat demon. Or vampire from some versions of Curse of Strahd that people commonly run. Like a vampire, like capital V vampire who does this, eventually is a 15-foot tall bat that has to eat like 4 people a day to live.
Yeah.
Like a truly vile predator out in the wilds, I think is really fun. The thought that, like, I don't know, you think about, there are parts of the world where somebody disappearing would not be noticed as quickly. You know what I mean? I think there's something interesting about, like, why don't you go into the dark of Appalachia? In our world, it's because of superstition and rock slides and bobcats, right? I heard a scream out in the holler. That was a bobcat, and I'm sure it did kill someone at some point. In this world, it's like, no! Like, hey, 85% of the time, it's a bobcat. 15% of the time? 15% of the time? Not a bobcat.
50% of the time, it's a guy who Bigfooted himself into a bobcat.
It's a guy who did a big old Bigfoot. Dumb shit. All right, Michael.
Just look at you, bud.
Pitch that concept.
Ends up the same.
Yeah. Crack that Pokeball.
Right.
What are we doing?
Yeah, so stay with me. Stay with me.
Fuck. Bad start.
Aliens.
Oh. Or
Vampires.
little gray men, maybe, right? Roswell.
Well, I'm thinking all aliens are just vampires, and it's they don't have to look like the gray men. It's just a disguise of vampires. It's the scientists of the community that are trying to figure out how to stop the sun from killing them. What's a better spot to study the sun than in space?
Are you saying there are fucking legit vampires on the
vampires
ISS right now?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've been convinced. I've been convinced it fucks.
I thought you were gonna say it's misattributed. It's like aliens aren't real. The things they're doing make people think of aliens, but they're not actually in space.
That's too.
You're saying they are in space. Okay.
Oh yeah, they are in space. So
they've gotten to the point magically that they can be in like low orbit to study the sun.
To study the sun. The abductions is just bringing people up, trying to test their blood, trying to see what works. That too. Crop circles. It's
like big. They're like big sigils. They're like big runes for spells.
That's what I was gonna say. That's the pitch. You're setting up the big sigils to try and make a secondary ozone that blocks the sun's harmful rays for magic. It's not working, but they're trying.
So I love that. So there's these like strictly magical spaceships that have been in the sky. I'm going to say it's like some real castle in the sky shit like since the 1800s, like, you know that famous story that there's this account in France that there was a fucking
battle?
space battle? And it's like, that wasn't a space battle. That was some fucking Sanguine user being like, we will study the sun, because they thought it was just up there a little.
Up there.
And they
Maybe
just
they blow it
made a
up.
castle fly and got a little too high. Like,
Michael, this is a non sequitur, but I am going to talk about it. That battle that Ethan's talking about, there's paintings and stuff of it. My favorite theory about what occurred is that there was a like slip in time and space, and like World War II fighters went through that and were battling each other, and then they ended up reverting back through that slip in time space. But that's what they perceived is
Nice.
that shit
And I
looks
love
like
that.
planes. And it's so funny because
It
people are like,
does.
I
I'll
think
show you a
I think it
picture.
was a sun dog. And then you look at it and you look at a sun dog and you're like, those look
Bro.
nothing like each other in any way.
I don't know what a sundog is.
It's like a trick of the light where it looks like there's like 4 suns in the sky,
Oh, I've seen
like
that. Okay.
cascading off of each other, and they make this big
Yeah,
circle.
yeah. Yep, I've seen pictures of that. Okay. But yeah,
I
that's
just uploaded a picture, Michael. This is
Oh.
like a second-hand account of what they saw, first-hand account or something. Sick as fuck.
interesting.
Yeah, naturally.
Cool.
I love the
Yeah.
idea that a couple of aliens just fucking wandered through and were like, ah, shit, sorry guys, we're gonna dip. My bad, my bad, my bad.
Oh, you were a little more advanced. Sorry.
Fuck, we fucked this. They thought they were gonna see dinosaurs, but the FTL of it all just didn't quite shake out. Okay, so I think today, as we are diving in, we've made some fun explorations. We've got a little bit over an hour left. I believe the thing we said we were going to do last time is to start breaking down some of these bloodlines of the Sanguine, right? Trying to figure out what some of the big, broad categories are. Now, at this stage, I feel it is important to say, and I'm going to say this to you at home. When you are making a game, please try to go from first principles. Don't just steal the D&D stuff. You're going to be taking on baggage from the 1970s that modern D&D designers would kill someone to not have to fucking deal with. Don't do that. As it is right now in the background, we continue to work on our projects, right? I'm working on the tower right now. We're gonna have to change those skills. It's too much like D&D, and I'm running into the D&D problems right away. It gets comfortable, and you end up in your head, you're like, we're not going to do it, and then you have 6 ability scores that have to do with how strong you are and how fast you are and how much constitution you have, and immediately you start to be like, so wait, like, where does instincts fit in? Is this thing intelligence or is it wisdom? Is this thing fit into this category or that category? You immediately start to run into problems. So I'm cool for us to base things in cryptid lore. Let's just say blanket statement right now. We are going to be inspired by the cultural cryptids, myths, and legends that we have heard. This is a fantasy world parallel to our own. Our understanding of these things is limited. We are going to be, kind of hedging it here and there, not really understanding things. We'll probably say some weird stuff here and there. As we continue on, when it gets pointed out to us, we will readjust and reconnoiter, with a humble heart. Let's have some fun with it. So number one, I've got a couple. Number one is like a classic blood-drinking, pale, sees-in-the-dark vampire that can turn into fucking mist, can't go through running water. I want to know what's up with this guy. And my second is, well, I guess aliens. My second is, we keep talking about some of these ancient gods as being Sanguine users. Is that a category? Like, are they a kind of being? Or is it just that if you follow any of these bloodlines far enough, you start to land in something that feels a little divine? Like, was Zeus and Kronos, they don't sound like vampires to me, right? Zeus has lightning bolts, Kronos has time. Maybe Kronos could be, and you could be like, well, he was modulating people's adrenal systems to make them perceive time differently. Zeus is where it starts to get to be a real fucking stretch. So I get the feeling that they were something different. But my question is, are all of these like elemental pantheonic creatures members of the same order that is in Mesoamerica and is in Greece and is in, East Asia? Or is it just different bloodlines that we kind of see taken to an extreme?
I think number 2. I think any bloodline could get strong and old enough that they are deific in some way. These ones just happen to be that. Like Zeus and Kronos, I think those were like magically inclined vampires. So they're not the mist people. They're like spell slinger vampires.
So let's say
that got super strong.
Because I think it might get a little confusing, but we're just going to have to bear with that. If you want to make fun and interesting worlds, confusing things are going to happen, right? The broadest possible category is sanguine user.
Yes.
In this world, that is within people who know about it, synonymous with vampire.
Mm-hmm.
For an average dude on the street, a vampire is Dracula. For a sanguine or a choleric or a phlegmatic user, vampire just means they use blood to do magic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's good to know. So
Dracula was a vampire, but
he was something specific.
Yeah.
So let's say we have number
Yes.
1, which is you can be one of the sanguine paths is a fucking wizard. Not a necromancer, right? Like melancholics are, and not a fire starter carry style like cholerics are. A wizard. Spells are crafted and constructed. I know they need to specialize because the gods are always specializing.
Yep.
So they need to specialize. Another category we have, what do we want to call this, like, mist predator Dracula? Like, what are they? Because we can't call them just
They're
a
like-
vampire. So, like, what is...
they're more like bestial almost.
There's something
Like,
about the fact that they seem like a predator for humans in a way that like the wizard guys don't, and that werewolves don't, right? I get the feeling that werewolves can eat deer and be fine. Whatever the Dracula style vampire is, they seem to be like the predator above humans in the food chain. I'm not sure what to call that other than predator, which feels a little...
I was thinking like consumptive, where their thing is about consumption. It's not about anything else. They do these things so they can hunt humans and eat.
Yeah, I'm going to write consumptive because I think it's like a perfect summary of what we're talking about. Can we shoot the thesaurus laser at that to see if there's something a little bit more like saucy? Because I love the descriptor consumptive. They consume the blood of others directly to turn it into strength. And there's also something fun to me about us calling to consumption, to this like hollowing of the cheeks, darkening of the eyes disease, and the thought of like when they turn into a mist, is it like a mist of aspirated blood?
Pretty sick.
Are they turning into a bat, or do they turn into a small winged creature that looks like a bat? Right? I'm tempted to say it's the second if we are calling them the consumptive, right? The bat is not a literal bat. If you get a close look at one, it doesn't even look like a fucking bat.
No, I'm almost thinking like it looks like a small Cthulhian creature, mouths everywhere, teeth and tongues, and just badness.
Yeah, something
Like
sharp.
the wings are gloopy.
It kind of answers that question of like, what are all of these weird traits that humanity has fear of? It's like, are we really all that afraid of wolves? It's like, no, you are afraid of the apex predator above you. A dark-eyed, sallow creature that comes out at night. Like, that's why you are afraid of the dark. It's because of the consumptive. And I'm tempted to say... Go ahead.
I'm not seeing a lot of good synonyms. There's things like gorge, if they are the gorge, because they're just eating.
I think we're going to stick with consumptive because I like the idea that the gorged is the bad thing you become if you walk too far down this road. It becomes like a bloated, delirious eater, like something that will need to be done. I think that one of the adventures that you would go on is like we gotta deal with this thing. Like, this is a grade A no. So the consumptive, right, are predators. And I'm gonna put a little star next to that, because I think a really natural and fun choice is that the reason that we call them all vampires is I think the consumptive is the only sanguine user that came about organically. I think that they are essentially evolved to use that magic to predate on humans, and that the discovery and slaying of them throughout the ages has led to these branches that stretch out far in all other directions, which also explains why they call everything a vampire. It's like we call all people humans, right? Even if they are a member of some subcategory or sub-region, you say, yeah, but they're still human. Like, there is still the fucking arrangement of limbs is there. In this world, somebody initiated in this world would be like, yeah, do they drink blood or eat flesh with blood in it to live? Yeah. Then they're descendants of the consumptives. Like, that's what they are. We can call them whatever the fuck we want. That's what they are. It's not that confusing, right? I also like that Michael's aliens now, I know, can be members of any category. Like, it's just... The first one was obviously
that's like
a
a
wizard.
faction.
It was a wizard
Aliens
who
of
was
choice.
like, I will create a floating castle, and then died of it, like, and then froze to death in the exosphere. Okay, so we've got the wizard. I like that. Specializing, they need to narrow in on something. We've got the consumptive, which are not any predator. They are predators of humanity. They look like us, they move like us, they walk like us, they talk like us. Taking this on makes you less human than the other options do, but I think it obviously attaches some great power to it. What are some other, like, lineages that we think players will want to play, or that, more importantly, we think makes sense? My next one is the were something.
Yeah.
It's the were creature. And I
the
think
shifter.
And I think that they start that magic by consuming the blood of the creature they want to turn into. And then eventually they can drink whatever and then at some point they can drink either the blood of that creature or the blood of their own lineage. I'm assuming that it will always be a human, right? But in theory, right, a wolf could become a werebat. But I think it's a balance for them. I think that you can drink infinite wolf blood and keep yourself alive, but you will turn more and more and more and more into a wolf as you keep moving in that direction. So at some point, you are going to need to eat the heart of a human to balance the scales back the other way.
I have a name pitch. It's Protean.
That's better. And so it's, eat hearts, stay balanced. Now, we talked about something for this game that I think is really interesting, which is like each of these groups, these classes, basically, these bloodlines will play differently. And they will fall broadly from what we've talked about and from how I just feel about game design into two categories. Number one are bloodlines that are inherently very strong and that need to kill people to live. Plain and simple. A werewolf can't drink blood. They have to eat a heart. That's a one-way street. And then group 2 are, you have power. You will be infinitely stronger if you kill people. You don't have to like the other guys do, so you can kind of limp along and live a normal existence. I think wizards would be in this category, right? If they need blood to live, but they can stitch along non-lethally and be okay. But if they ever start just killing people for it, they will become so much stronger so faster that's the addiction mechanic, right? It's not roll 9 hunger dice, and if you get 6 hunger tokens, you go feral. It's, hey, you're out of spell slots. To use D&D parlance, you're out of spell slots. If you drink some blood, nothing good will happen. You will just still be alive. If you exsanguinate someone and kill them, you'll get 4 spell slots back. That's a fucking addiction mechanic right there. Like, that's how that works. Make it just actually very, very tempting. Leave the rest to their own narration. Okay, so we have
Sure.
the wizards. Maybe those could go for a stronger name. The consumptive and the protean. You see how wizard kind of doesn't.
Yeah, wizard's
Yeah.
not.
I'm more tempted to say I think sorcerer is a little stronger. There's something about like the source of life being blood that I like better.
Do that, you mystic.
Awakener.
Ooh, I feel like Awakener would be its own, though. I like that. I feel like Awakener's giving, like, Ghost Whisperer to me, but that feels more like a phlegmatic thing, right? You can talk to Ghost, but you can't really do anything about it.
I was trying to think of something for that because it feels almost like it should be something there, but yeah.
I think
We could do Invoker.
I feel like the Evoker is just in the... This is something we're going to have to constantly be shitheads to each other about.
No.
Which is to be like,
Not
Evoker. To be like, Evoker, pause. That's cholerics. They cause fire with their minds. Sort. You know what I mean?
I was saying Invoker.
Oh, that's interesting. So an Evoker conjures fire. An Invoker, what? They call on something?
It calls
it's making me think of like
upon
summoning.
power. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so like sorcerers specialize in magic. I'm going to scribble out wizard. It's too silly. Sorcerer's better. Invokers. I think this is our like summoner.
Yeah, this would be like thralls and shit.
And I think that the invoker playbook to me is relatively simple, which is like you can spill your own blood. Okay. Pause for 2 seconds. I need to get my head around this. A sorcerer binds themselves to a to a force. They connect themselves inextricably and forever to a force. They attach themselves to time, or lightning, or electricity, or war. And they need to, in the service of that thing, spill blood, or it will one day consume them. Great. I love that. Consumptives become predators that need blood to live. Very straightforward. Werebeasts need to eat hearts to live. Invokers chain themselves to something. My first mind is that these are a little bit the like warlock classic, right? An invoker chains themselves to a powerful being, and they need to offer blood to that being or it will kill them. That's my inclination as to why they need blood to live. Is an invoker says, I bind myself to the Mesopotamian demon, whatever, pick it, Pazuzu. And if I don't keep a steady flow of blood going to that creature, which will give me power for it, but if I ever stop summoning its allies with blood, paying the toll, it will take me. Does that sound okay? That's where my brain's going at first.
I think it's cool, and I think it gives us a potential workaround for how more ancient Sanguine live. I think that a lot of the most ancient ones have people below them, sort of pyramid scheme style, that invoke upon them. So they are getting fed blood and sacrifice via foot soldiers in the vampires' ranks.
And I just think...
they're not going out and eating a guy. They're waiting, and they're getting fed drops every day from 1,000 invokers.
And the other thing I like about that is it's self-solving, because those things would try to kill each other constantly to not have competition.
Yep.
So it's like, the many blood gods of ancient times have this long lineage. They are just very, very, very shockingly powerful proteans and consumptives and sorcerers who are constantly trying to kill each other to narrow the playing field. Constantly. Because they can only afford to have 7, 8 of them alive on Earth at a time?
One on each continent.
That's
it.
Maybe, if I'm being realistic about it, with the modern day population, maybe 50.
Yeah.
Right? Because if 50 more people disappearing a day is not the biggest thing in the world, especially if it can be spread across many places, across much time. Okay, I think I like that. I think I like that for the Invoker. They're chained to an
If-
ancient being. They need to keep drip feeding.
If I can add a little bit to the Invoker, some thoughts. Going with like, you have to feed your patron vampire blood, but in return you get his blood to drink. So it's blood for blood.
And it just
still
lends
feels
you incredible power that is not yours.
correct.
Completely not yours. You can summon a demon from a puddle of inky black in the sky. That's not your demon. Be nice to your boss or you are cooked, young man. Like
And then the second part, because we're chained to it even, do we want to make it so like they don't get really anything from drinking other blood, making them even more reliant on this
yeah,
being?
they never drink it. If they drink it, it is to send it to this creature.
Okay.
So like I'm fine with some of them drinking it, but they don't get that power. They are giving that blood to another being who is rewarding them for their service. And
Yep.
the counter to that is I just think it's much less dangerous. Like I think Proteans have a shitload of powers and are actively hunted and they look scary. I think an Invoker looks like a completely normal person even if they are 1,000 years old. They are just being kept alive by this tether.
And one huge downside, if your lord is killed, you're fucked. If the top bloodline of a Protean is killed, they don't care. If an Invoker's top bloodline is killed, they're all dead.
Yeah, I
So
think
if you kill one of the 20 lords, that's like 1,000 vampires die.
I think it's
not good.
I think it's the real classic. It's like it will just cascade down. It just the whole house of cards tips the second you touch that top piece, unless it is one of them that is like within their normal lifespan. And then they just immediately age to where they should be. So they just turn 60. And it's like, whoop, you better pick up another school of magic tomorrow, or, you know what I mean?
You might have a heart attack. Who knows?
Oh, there's a thought that I had. It's very grimdark. I don't know how grim this game is. It doesn't seem like it's very grim. It seems like it's
I
bloody.
think it's kind of hopeful, all things considered.
Yeah, there's something like
You're
bloody
trying to
and
do good
dark
stuff.
about it, but you are the members of
Yeah.
this like social strata trying to keep the world turning. And we have said that we don't like our core thing is you are trying to keep the other three groups or monstrous members of your own group from ending the world because you want the world to keep going. Like that's not a hard
That's where
concept.
you live.
You just want the world to keep on spinning. Did I lose it? I might have lost it. It was something like it was a bummer about that fact and about the fact that like it was something kind of gory, something kind of grim. Let's keep going. I'm going to see if I come back to it.
All good.
So we've got a few dudes now.
Yeah, we have
This
the
is four?
sorcerers, the
Yeah.
consumptive, the Proteans, and the Invokers. And I'm just trying to think. So let's broaden our categories a little bit, right? Sasquatch is a Protean gone wrong. What about... I want... There's a lot of different creatures that are the consumption of flesh of your own people is a bad idea. Are they just consumptive? Like a figure of iconic Native American myth, the Wendigo. Is the Wendigo a consumptive with a different art style, like drawn by a different guy? Or is cannibalism its own John? Like its own thing? I'm tempted to say it's its own because there's nothing seductive about it, right? The consumptive is a seducer. It needs to be invited into your home. It can charm you. It can make you follow it. It can create followers. This thing is an animal that eats and consumes and gorges itself on people. It's very different to me. It doesn't feel like a Protean. What is it?
It almost feels like a consumptive that went further.
Yeah, almost a gorge. I was
Yeah.
thinking this feels like a wild variable offshoot of what a typical vampire is. Things that become like a Wendigo or any other.
I'm
real
thinking of like if we
creature
want to
eater.
step outside to like the popularized version of this, right? I'm thinking of like Ithaca and the Wendigoax from like, you know, the strange mythology, kind of Lovecraft adjacent cousins. There's just something about this, like, they are associated with the cold and with winter and with hunger and with eating. Like, is this, maybe it's not playable? Maybe that's what we're figuring out? Is this like a sanguine choleric? Is this what happens when you kind of double dip? Do you end up in this other space? Or is this a kind of sanguine that is just deeply feral in some way? I'm tempted in both of those two directions, that there is one, and I do think it is still playable, but is a little bit like being the dog on a leash. Or is it non-playable? It is sanguine / choleric, so it is where, you know, the need for blood and community and to borrow and take and give power meets raw kinetic destruction. Like, is this where those two things cross? And it is eating the entire body for strength.
Hear me out. I think we can make this a pure sanguine, but we've established that if you have the genetic makeup to become a sanguine, you can do these things. I could see there being, if you are not coded for sanguine magic use.
Oh, is there always
being
a
protein
chance?
or whatever, you can just eat a guy, and you might be this now. You shouldn't have done that. You fucked yourself up genetically.
Okay, so I'm a little confused about which of two things it is. So one, is it you attempt to become a sanguine user and 80% of the population can. They have some trace, some hint, whatever it is that lets them do it. 20% cannot. And this is what happens when they try. Or is it option 2, 5% of the population, if they try to do anything, becomes one of these? Like, you have this late... So is it you are inherently non-magical, and this will be the result if you attempt to attune to magic? Or is it you were born magic, you're the chosen one? You are just the worst kind of chosen one you can fucking imagine, which is if you ever consume the flesh of another human in significant quantity, and I don't think it needs to be that much, you become this. You start running down this road, whether you want to or not.
I think the first. You're not magic, brother. You shouldn't have done this. There's stories constantly about why you shouldn't do this, and you did, and now you look like that.
Are these horrific creatures? Are Wendigos like part of the mundane? Like, was the name of this bloodline mundane? And it's and you're like, yeah, this is somebody who, okay, I like that. Let me write it down before I forget.
It puts in even more, like, you weren't strong enough for it, but the blood is making you strong still.
The blood is the blood.
Blood is strong no matter what, but you weren't strong enough to handle it.
So let's follow this down a little bit. Is there a genetic component, or is it that you tried to do a ritual you aren't ready for?
I think it's a genetic component. I think some people are. It might not be genetic. It might be some other.
There is a big bar across the top of the screen. There is no difference between genetics and magic in a world with fucking magic in it. That bothers the shit out of me. Where people are like, oh, so they don't know about germs in D&D? Germs are magic in D&D. You sound like a fucking toddler. Germs are magic. Magic are germs. What do you mean? Like, that's in a world where magic is one of the laws of physics. It's with all the other laws of physics. You need to stop thinking about it as a separate bubble floating up in the corner, right? Okay, so yeah,
I think like 5% of the population has the ability to become vampires. Now the other 95% don't.
Now this is my question. What is that percentage?
Yeah.
Because if it's too low, if it's $5.95, this shit would happen constantly, right? No one would ever risk it. So what's the balance? Is it a 50-50 shot? In which case I can understand why somebody would be like, well, I've got the magic in me. Or is it 80-20? And that's why people are like, yeah, this thing fucking can happen. I've never even met someone it happened to. Or is it 10-90? And most people who discover this world learn that very quickly, because we either A, need people to learn it easily so that they don't stumble into it to explain why we're not in the middle of a goddamn zombie apocalypse. Number 2, it needs to be like a 50-50 shot, which is why it's so tempting. Or number 3, it's an 80-20 shot, and it's basically a rumor that this can happen.
I think it's 10-90. I think most people that become fucked up Wendigos become that way, not because they were trying to become vampires. They were trying to survive a harsh winter.
Great.
They got stuck in a cave and they needed to eat other miners.
Why does this not happen all the time when people try to become Sanguine users? That's my only question, right? If it's hard to detect that it's true about you and most people know nothing, I just need an in-universe reason why this is not a constant fucking problem. Or maybe part of the background of our world is that it is a constant problem. It's just then our game's going to become about that, and it's not my favorite.
I don't think that it would be that. First of all, the knowledge is very, very minimal. If 10% of the population has the option to maybe become a vampire, most people don't know vampires exist. 1% of the population that stumbles upon the idea of it, maybe 1/10 of them are crazy enough to be like, and I'm going to start drinking blood so I can do it.
No.
And what's that, like 100,000 people?
I know, but there's one step that we don't have here, which is how do those guys know this can happen? I don't understand how they know that can. Like, who is running around putting up flyers to keep this? Because if not, that 100,000 people, 90,000 of them would be these things. They would become mundanes because they would want to learn, and the only way to learn would be to begin practicing, and 9 out of 10 of them would turn into these things. So all we need to solve is what in that step happens to stop them. Is it that there is some glamour, and like if you aren't able to become one, the knowledge is literally harder to learn, and so you're just much less likely to learn it? Is it that it's extremely complicated to take your first step into being a Sanguine, and so inevitably you will meet a teacher who is like, most people cannot become one. We can do a test. There is a good chance that you will not be able to become one. In which case, like, unfortunately, that then leads to me like, so why don't those people go public? Do they all die? Do you kill anybody who fails that, like, trial of the fucking grass or whatever? In which case, 9 out of 10 people who try to become Sanguine are killed in basements in Paramus? Like, I don't think so. So I just need us to fill this little gap that we've created here.
I think that first off, the 90% of people that can't become anything other than a mundane, even that 90%, let's say you ate enough people to become a mundane, probably half or more of those people die from prion disease. They don't even become a mundane. So already we're limiting the amount that successfully being a regular dude and eating flesh gets you there.
Full accidental is if it's hard to stumble into it completely because you need to resist all of the other things about it that kill you. If you manage to eat enough human flesh and you manage to live long enough, even though you're trapped somewhere, probably you're one of those fucking hikers, up in the plane that crashes or whatever, like the soccer team, right? That's fine. That's its own thing. So, like, most of them are going to die of other stuff first, or they're just going to live. Like, they don't eat enough. I think that, like, the dudes from Venezuela or whatever that crashed, I don't think they ate enough to turn into something. Oh, well, no, that's stupid. What am I talking about? That's our world. In this world, like, 2 of those guys did turn into these things.
Yep. And they fought to the death, and they killed each other.
Oh,
and it
so
was fine.
so that helps clarify it a little bit. I think in this world, when people crash in the mountains, they all die.
Yeah.
The Donner Party did not have survivors in this world. Like, that's it.
They're all dead. And if there was somebody who survived, that's a monster in the woods. You don't think, that guy was probably in that party. And you're not putting that together.
So now let's just solve...
Now we have a monster in Venezuela woods.
So let's just solve this next step, which is this 10%, right? So the 10% that can do it, who then discover Sanguine magic. How on earth do 90% of them learn about this early enough that it's not that 9 out of 10 people who try to become a Sanguine user turn into like a terrible feral monster? Is it that you can test for it? In which case, like, so do we test and then that person just goes like, oh, shucks. Or is there this, I'm tempted to say, it's a little wishy-washy. It's not my favorite. Is there a little bit of an implication that like one of the traits of someone who can become a Sanguine user is that they end up wanting to be? Like, is there this draw, or does it pull you in that direction? I think that's the cleanest, best answer, but it means 10% of the population. Is that the 10% of the population that just loves ghost stories and horror novels and likes those things? Is it that in this world, if you love horror, it's not that vampires dress like goth people. It's that goth kids are like the 10% of people who can become a vampire. Like, and they are naturally attracted. Is there a magnetism to it? Because that would explain it to me. And so the only people who can fuck up that balance are power-hungry finance bros who are like, I'm gonna live forever! And like, jump into it with no heed for what they're doing and end up eating 30 people at Epstein's Island. Or, so like, do we want that natural magnetism? In which case, that's just something we need to keep in mind, is that the 10% of the world that can become a Sanguine user, their whole lives are just feeling this little pull to something. Like, those are the people who, that stay up late every single night, who like those are the Spencer Mayos who are like, my bedtime 4 a.m. why? Like, perfect. It's like, that's just the time I'm the most comfortable going to bed. Like, I think that what it is?
That's good, especially because when it comes to the other 90% of humanity, say I was in the know about vampires existing, me, Spencer, in the real human world. If they said, and all it takes is killing 25 people and devouring them, I would say, fuck that. I'm not going to eat 25 people so I can become a vampire. Are you insane? Most of the population, if they stumble upon this world, are going to be like, and I'm doing it. Because that's crazy.
And that's the kind of like wonderful thing about our system, is it's not that you have to eat 25 people. It's that you are naturally a little drawn in, and you meet the person and they can see it in your eyes and they're like, hey, don't freak out. Just drink a little blood.
Drink this cup.
It's
a shot.
Drink that. Hey, I'll do like a very specific one, Spencer. Somebody came up to you tomorrow, and for whatever reason, you knew that they were an authority on the subject, and they were like, hey, you hurt your growth plate when you were a teenager. I can fix it forever if you drink 1 milliliter of blood.
Easy, I'm in.
And then you're fucked. And then you're screwed. Like, and for
the 90% that would become mundanes, they just wouldn't do it. They just would be like, ew, are you insane? I'm not going to do that. Nobody's going to teach me how to begin with. And then if I find out that I have to kill 30 people to maybe become a monster, no. But if you already are genetically predisposed to becoming a vampire, you'll take that shot.
Pulls you in. And if you aren't, if you're one of the 90% and out of desperation or out of a power hungry, like, I know it's going to work. I saw this is like the real classic, right? It's I'm just as special as my brother. I'm just as strong. And he like drinks the bowl of blood and immediately starts to turn into a mundane. And you're like, you dumb motherfucker. Like,
and that's where they come from.
Because I think that you can become a mundane the full oopsie-daisy way by consuming too much flesh. I think the other big way is what we've kind of hinted at, which is if you are a mundane person and you do the ritual, you become one instantly. The cooldown time is enough for your bones to break and set into new and uncomfortable positions. Now, can you play a mundane who fucked it up? Like, are these sentient beings that are cannibals that need to eat human flesh to live, and you can play one, and this is the, like, soft bad guy class. This is the Oathbreaker Paladin in the world of Bloodlines, or whatever the hell we name this game. Like, Humors, the TTRPG. Is this the bad guy class? Is this the Oathbreaker Paladin? Is this the Oath of Death Cleric? That's like, you can totally play a mundane. Mundanes have the highest baseline super strength of any of them. They are the most physically powerful. You cannot do any magic. You never will be able to. And every day you want to eat every person you meet. Like, you are at best a serial killer.
This is the one class where I would put in a, like, blood-crazed mechanic. It's like, no. Everybody else, it's like, look at all these benefits you get. You don't get that shit. You're a regular dude who's now a vampire. You're eating them.
I think the blood craze is, this is another good moment. Hey, let's talk about game design. Welcome to DM Writer's Room. It's a show where we talk about how you come up with games and things. We were just talking about an addiction mechanic, right? You want a good addiction mechanic? Don't have it have terrible drawbacks and no benefits. That's stupid. Have it have incredible benefits that they need to take more and more and more to get. Very easy. I don't think that mundanes need to roll to not hurt anyone. I think mundanes, if a mundane attacks someone, that person dies.
Yep.
And their attacks are bite. I don't think they have talons and claws. I think they have teeth. And it's like, hey, you using your powers is you snapping someone's bones and drinking the marrow. Those aren't different. You can't...
Yeah, one move.
Yeah, you can't non-lethally subdue someone. This is not Fantasyland. This is that Delta Green shit where it's like, oh, you knocked him unconscious with your super strength? He dies. What? You either take him to a hospital now and he has a TBI for the rest of his life, or he dies because that motherfucker's in a coma. Like, he's right now not breathing. What are you doing to get him to breathe? Are you going to intubate this guy in the middle of the woods? The wizard can be like, I captured him in a cage of force. The consumptive is like, I channel into his mind and control him. The mundane is like, I ate his face and throat. And you're like,
yeah.
So we're sure we're bringing Tom. We're positive we're bringing Tom on this. Sorry, I'm looking for my kidnapped daughter. And we're bringing Tom. Tom has a human hand. What? We're bringing Tom?
It's straight up in the character creation. It's like, it wouldn't occur to you to do this any other way. You're a beast, brother. You're eating and you're killing.
If you don't want to roleplay this, play some other shit. Like,
don't play
this.
Just
isn't
play a Protean and make yourself more animalistic if that's really what you're after.
Yeah.
This is a fucked up class.
Yeah.
You kill stuff. That's it.
Super cool.
There's probably a few things that you do, like, you get to roll the whole back with, like, intimidation checks. Even that's rough.
You get one skill check, it's intimidate. And if you roll too high, you kill them.
We talked about how, like, you can get different... One of the possibilities being, like, you are picking from a menu of items. And it's not that you are getting stronger. It's that you pick which age bracket you're in, and you get to, like, get little micro upgrades in that tiny section of the powers that you choose. The mundane's got one big block that says, eat that man.
Eat.
And then they would have some smaller ones that would be like, intimidate. You can roll to intimidate someone. If you succeed, no matter who it is they are intimidated by you, they suddenly are filled with the cold awareness that you could kill them at any moment. If you fail that check, you kill them in that moment.
Yeah.
That's it. It's, hey, failing that means you bite their throat out. Like, you just, that's what happens. You can risk it, but it's a risk. It would be like letting a tiger in the room with a guy. It would be like, yeah, that'll intimidate him. Or the tiger will eat the guy. Like, that's the other option. Okay, super cool.
The idea of being the swamp monster mundane that the rest of the regular intelligent party comes to get, and they're like, okay, we're going to Chicago. We really need somebody strong. We're going to get the swamp monster guy. And they get him, and he's just insane, just losing it. And they're like, we just have to get to this warehouse before he kills everybody. We just have to get there.
And I think there is a powerful player fantasy of being Hannibal Lecter in that fucked up clear mask strapped to a gurney and them just wheeling you up to the door and being like, all right, big dog, patting you on the shoulder and just pulling one big metal pin and running away as you tear through the metal garage door. And I think that it's like, hey, if any of the other groups get in a straight up and down fight with a mundane, that shit's a problem. You know, I think this also solves another issue, which is like, why aren't there more mundane? I think every other Sanguine group is like constantly vigilant for this. Because one of these things takes like 2 sorcerers and an invoker to kill. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, this is going to take forever. And I think we know what the mundane's big weakness is, which is magic. Like, the mundane can't do anything if a consumptive is like, all right, take control of your mind. The consumptive's like, and is just standing there. Like, like, so it's like, hey, having consumptive in the party, unbelievably helpful. If a glutted is what you're fighting, cooked. Like, completely fucked, right? Unless you're, eventually you're gonna end up literally like, we stuff his ears full of wax, we blind him, we cover his eyes, and we plug his nose, and we just kind of point him towards it and go kill everything between you and where you're going. And we just hope for the fucking best.
The idea of sending out hunting parties for, where it's like, hey, everybody always dies in plane crashes here. It's so weird. That was just a hunting party that went out. Wow, there's a lot of like ripped open throats in this lost camping group. That's interesting. Why are they all desanguinated? A hunting group came through and killed all the survivors and they bounced.
I think in the world of this, and I think this helps us, right? There is a belief that there is a mental thing like cabin fever that they call like hunger madness or something. And it's like, well, we can't recreate it in lab conditions. We've tried. But if a group of people go out and get hungry enough, they kill each other. Like, they kill each other. It's brutal, like, every time. And in all of the history of this world, that would be true with no interruptions. It would be like, yeah, if a group of people get stranded in the woods, they tear each other to pieces. That's just what they do. We don't know why. It is some quirk of human psychology. And in this world, there would be this much greater fear of being isolated with a group of people alone. People would avoid it much more actively. You know, people would be way more cautious about going on risky trips. They would be way more careful about going on hiking trips. So I think there are less mundane in the world because somebody being like, me and 6 of my friends are going hiking, they'd be like, it would be
suicidal.
It would be like when people in our world go cave diving, and you're like, why the fuck do you do that? Like, that's so dangerous. Everybody knows this. And in real life, it's like, no, it's just a hunting party goes out. The second the report goes out that it's like, oh, well, a plane has crashed over somebody's like, all right, let's go investigate. Why? We just have to make sure that nobody there like starts eating other people.
Make sure nobody survived. Just to be safe.
So, sorcerer, consumptive, werebeast, invoker, mundane. Oh, I have to circle back for a second. I also love that because that means in this world, there would also be less mundanes because search and rescue windows would be tight.
Yeah.
If there is this known quirk of psychology that like humans in isolation out hungry will start to tear each other to pieces, there would be naturally in the world this thought of like, we have 48 hours to go find these people. Because if anything goes wrong, we have seen it cascade. Like, we know that this will happen. I like that. So, sorcerers use blood they chain themselves to some force, and as they consume blood, they are channeling it into this very specific thing, this element, this, connection. And they are somewhat bodily, right? Like, the human body can create electricity. The human body can do these things. I think that makes sense. That means that Poseidon was a piss wizard. Yep, the consumptive is straight up and down vampire. Vampire who do vampire stuff. The East Asian vampires that have to count rice, same thing. The vampires here that drink blood and live in Georgia and need to be invited in, same thing. Werebeasts eat proteans, eat hearts to balance a bestial side and a human side. Invokers chain themselves to an ancient being and drip feed it with blood to gain power and summon allies. Mundanes are deeply and profoundly non-magical people who tried to become magical and are now monsters. They are beasts that can think. Like, they can think, they're intelligent still in the way, but it is so precluded by the fact that, like you said, Spencer, I think you really hit the nail on the head. The mundane section in the book is going to say, you think of other people as food. If you don't want that to be true, play another bloodline. Flat out. You are not resisting. You are not a caged beast clawing at the sides of their heads trying to resist the urge. When you look at other people, you see food.
You're hungry.
Your fellow sanguines are what's keeping you in check. The only thing keeping you from killing and eating everybody you meet is that the other 5 sanguines will kill you. It's the fucking, what's your you were obsessed for like 2 years with like Hobbes Leviathan.
Yeah, I fucking love
Which is like the Leviathan is society. It's the, like, why don't you kill other people? Because you would be killed. Like, I don't agree with it as a moral philosophy, but it's true for these guys.
It's the baseline standard for how civilization works. You do not do bad thing, because if you do bad thing, society do bad thing to you. That's the Leviathan. Society will get you. The Leviathan will kill you if you do something bad.
So
I think it's funny.
What else? Yeah.
It would be an NPC, but it goes with the Wendigo, kind of. A mundane person eats humans, they become Wendigo. If like somebody
they become a mundane.
Yes. I'm thinking like the El Chupacabra, and how that's more bestial, and they go for goats and beasts. It's
dog ate dog.
Well, I was saying a mundane ate a beast's heart, and they weren't supposed to. And I think the likelihood that's less. Like,
I love that. My counter argument would be a Chupacabra is a fucking mundane dog.
Yeah, dog ate dog.
I don't think dogs can't become sanguine. I just think it's very unlikely for them to deliver on the vision. So I think that, like, that would be... I think it's really easy to turn an animal into a mundane if you try to turn your dog into a vampire. If you do the rites and sing the things and burn the ashes and mix the poultice and mix it in with your blood wine and feed it to a dog, that dog also has a 90-10 shot of not being able to become a vampire. And that's how you get the fucking Chupacabra, is it's like, no, man, you made a dog into a vampire. You're a fucking idiot. Your dog already wanted to bite you sometimes.
I'm just imagining like an invoker lord, low level, like he's probably 400 years old, and he's like, I've got an idea. And he transforms like 50 dogs into Chupacabra and sends them out, and he's like, I'm getting my drink. I'm getting fed. These things are eating. I'm good.
Brother, you would not believe. He has like big tanks of blood.
Just vats.
He's like, oh, this a 2005. I keep it chilled. Like, that is so funny. And that's a great villain, because it's like, what happens when a clever sociopath becomes a ancient? They do fucked up shit like that. And then you gotta go deal with them because there's a pack of wild, evil dogs.
And he probably has a true vampire dog at his side. He's done
Oh
enough.
yeah, it's a freaking invoker next to him that does magic
A
from
10%
his powers.
chance. It's too good. So what are
So
some
funny.
other... We've got 13 minutes left. Ooh. What are some other bloodlines? What are some other... Like, imagine when you're playing Delta Green, when you're playing Call of Cthulhu, when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, when you're playing fucking World of Warcraft, what are the monsters, mobs, and classes that you want to play? I think we've hit a lot of like the really good ones, but I do think we've got some more stuff on the floor. And in my opinion, this is just not enough like subcategories for us to have a really good time with. There's something to me about the crone that doesn't feel the same as the invoker. I don't think of crones as like summoners. I don't think of them as like conjuring a demon from the sky or whatever. So what is this like ancient curse weaving, like making a doll out of hair and bones that can
Like
curse a
voodoo
person
almost.
Yeah, I'm trying to... I don't understand voodoo culture enough to really try to reference it. Like, I have some vague sense of, like, what Papa Legba's deal is, but not enough to be like, let's dive into the culture. But enough to be like, so what is this curse-weaving, infinite... Like, they age, they just don't die. And I think that's what makes this group unique. I think that the Proteans, the Consumptives, the Sorcerers, the Invokers, the Mundane, I think they stay the same age. What is this like aging but never dying, withering as they curse and blight and edit the luck of others? I'm tempted to say they feel a little bit more blood. Maybe they're melancholic, right? Maybe this is like a lich adjacent thing and these are only bad guys. But I think one of the fantasies is playing a curse weaver. So I'm tempted to say it shouldn't be an NPC.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cool with
It
that.
feels to me like their thing is, and this is going to sound stupid, is blood magic. They take a drop of this person's blood, they drop it into their cauldron, or they put it onto this doll, or they lick it and lock them like inside their bodies. Like that's what they do. They collect small traces of blood from whatever their target is, and then they do something with it. It's not invoking, they're not utilizing another person's power. They're more controlling the blood within the body of something else.
It's like there's something like Hexweaver is a little bit too dramatic and anime sounding, but like that's the concept. Why do they
bloodbender?
Why do they need blood to live? Are they drinking cups of it like a vampire style? Because I don't want us to be afraid of having other groups drink fucking blood. I think that consumptives drink your blood with their fangs. I think that I'm fine with the hexer being like they cut your throat, they pour the blood into a mug and they drink it. But is there another way they use blood? Is it like, do they need to keep hexing people? Do they need to use other people's bloods to spread? Because my first thought is they take an immense curse onto themselves, like a sin eater, that they then give to other people. And as they give it to others, it does not affect themselves. And that's why you get the image, right, of the gorgeous witch who, when her power is broken, ages into the shape of a crone. She is no longer giving the curse to others. That's my first, is you take on a terrible curse that you then give. And if you ever stop giving it, it consumes you. Or you cut a lamb's throat into a bowl and you drink it. Those are both good.
I like the first. I think that it's cool to be a sin eater. That's badass. And it does really give reason why you are a crone on Tuesday and by Saturday you're a 30-year-old donor.
And I think we can just call it sin eater, right?
Sick as fuck, yeah.
Like, take on a curse, use blood to deflect it. And I like that because there is, again, my knowledge is pretty sparse. There is this concept, right, that if you put a curse on somebody, you risk that curse being put back upon you tenfold. Mm-hmm. What if that is wrong? What if it's that you need to take a curse upon yourself tenfold so you can give it to others? And so I
Yeah.
love the idea that it's like my favorite TTRPG. I'm going to say this officially. I've said it 100 times. I stay mad about this. The greatest tabletop role-playing game character concept ever created was made by Spencer Mayo for a campaign that fizzled out instantly. And it was the seventh son of a seventh son who had the power to make other people's luck go sour. And it was the coolest goddamn shit we've ever done.
Jedediah.
Notably, my favorite moment of the 2 sessions that we got to play was an FBI agent in a diner standing up, having recognized Jebediah. He turned and made it so that the coffee pot that the waitress was carrying was made wrong in the factory, got too hot, and broke. And the hot coffee spilled down the front of the FBI agent, who then pulled out and accidentally hit the curb, and the tire on his car went flat with 2 magic rolls. The greatest character concept I've ever heard, and it only made it for a session and a half. I stay pissed. He would be a sin eater. I think that if he was not constantly disgorging his bad luck onto other people, I think that he would be a fucking walking apocalypse of bad luck.
Yeah. That's sick. I have one more, because we're down to 7 minutes, besides the Sin Eater. We have a powerhouse, and we have somebody who's mind controlling and eating, and we have, like, more animalistic shifter form. What we don't have is the skilled warrior, the one who is fast and smart and tactical and cuts into things with blade. Like that vampire archetype, a la Blade, or even like Van Helsing. We've got a lot of vampires that are like that. They are martial. They are combatants. So I don't think we have that covered.
So what is this? So is this like, do they exchange for adrenaline and long life? Is it that they spent 1,000 years studying the blade and their adrenal system is like the fucking gauge of the veins coming out of their thyroid are this thick. They're as thick as a golf ball because their adrenal system is massive? Or is it some kind of... Is it just that their instincts ride high and any weapon they pick up, they are lethal with? Or is it Miyamoto Musashi in this world wrote the Book of 10 Rings and he did not then die of cancer in a mountain. He vanished. Never seen again. And he took up this Sanguine altar and is still alive and is just solely dedicated ever forward to this art form, to just becoming more lethal and better and better and better and better until eventually he is peerless.
I think Musashi went out and he became a vampire. And beyond that, this is probably the group that I think would be the most likely to have a cult-like existence. Out of all the different vampire groups, I could see this being like, yeah, we have one 3,000-year-old vampire, or whatever, who's been training forever. When he finds somebody who is physically skilled and seems to lean towards vampirism, he will take them and make them vampires and follow his path.
This is we've created one of the greatest pieces of lore I've ever heard, which is the thought that it's like our brains are wired in this world. So we're like, he seeks out somebody and every once in a while they have the touch. It's like, no. The person who wants it like that and who will obsessively, infinitely, intricately practice is the person it will work with. Mm-hmm. It's not, he doesn't need to go looking. That person will find him.
There's no errors here.
Rips. That is so tight. The thought that it's like, so what is the consumptive? I have 20 people a day and he needs to reject 6. The thing that I was thinking earlier. It's like, no. That's your brain in this world. The person who tracks down the consumptive is the person who can be one. Like, they would need to brute force it in a way that would be definitively uncomfortable and would have a body count. right? It would take violence. I really like that. So what is this? So it sounds like it's our least magical, other than the mundane, obviously. You just stop aging, right? You stop aging. Your body stays, let's say your body stays at its physical peak.
Yeah.
And so that's category 1. And number 2, I don't know if we don't have to keep this if we don't want to. Is it just that you do not age, and if someone cuts your head off, you do not die? Like, your body they would need to hack you into 100 pieces and bury you in 100 coffins, and then eventually you would die because you wouldn't get enough blood. And you are just a peerless warrior?
I was literally thinking the word peerless as the name for this vampire. Sorry.
So is it that? Or are you supernaturally, like, is it that you have lived so long that you have become such a perfect peerless warrior that no one can compete with you, including supernatural things? Or is it that your adrenal system is now different and you are now faster and stronger even at a baseline? That's the thing I can't decide. Is the trade-off here that you must remain focused because, like, you are immortal and that is your only gift. You are perfect with your weapon of choice. That is your only gift. And that is what makes you dangerous. Is the mundane is incredibly strong and has teeth and can tear you to pieces, but you will, with the beautiful precision of 400 years of training, slice it in half along its full length of its body, cutting every major artery in one slash? Or is it that as it dives at you, your perception of time slows? And it is a game to you to dodge and cut its head off before it lands?
I think that it is both. I'm gonna hit you with this, which I typically don't like to say, oh, it's both. It's you when you are born as one of these things, calm, pinnacle, or peerless.
It's
or whatever we
fucking
want.
peerless.
But my pitch was going to be that the upper echelon is when you become peerless. I think as a newborn vampire in this, you have blood that runs hotter. It fills your musculature. You are at physical peak at all times. That's what you get. You are strong and fast, and you can see things happening more quickly than anybody else. When you get to 400, when you hit that level of peerless, it's you are all those things. And you are a master swordsman. You're a master marksman. Like, whatever it is you've chosen.
I have a
that's
pitch.
The angle you take.
I have a pitch for the other half of this that I love and that I will not be negotiating. So what is the baseline? What do we call the person that has just accepted, like, you will always perfectly recover. You are a little faster. You are a little sharper. You are a little more perceptive. You are incredibly in tune with your body. And then you can move on to this next thing. You can eventually become peerless. So what do we call that baseline? What is that? I can't quite, like, there's something about, like,
Right.
You are pursuing, you are training, you have been given what you need to become strong. You are not strong yet. Like, are they the fool, like a tarot card? Are they, what do you call this person that is been given the ability to become great?
An apprentice.
I think apprentice is pretty cool.
I like that. I think it fits. It's you've been given the ability. So I think that you become an apprentice is what they call them, and it is a type of creature. And all the wisdom is always the same across different cultures, across different parts of the world. You must pick one thing to master and become peerless. That's what you must do. And if you don't, my pitch for the name of that is a jack. They call them jacks because they are jacks of all trades, and they are never as strong as a peerless will be. Because you cannot be. You will be if a jack tries to fight a peerless, they will be cut down in a second because you just cannot even begin to try and keep up with what this other person will do. You will live a cool life. You will live a very long time. Your adrenal system will be great. You're gonna be fucking like a rabbit in Miami. You will never be great if you do that. You are behind now. And so, like, I think that even among people, like, if a peerless meets a jack, maybe somewhere in their honor code is like, try to convince them. try to convince them to pick something, because they can still do it. They have eternity to become great. They could still. They're behind. But they could still, and maybe they'll be able to bring some of that other knowledge in to become even better. Probably not. The sorcerer, the consumptive, the protean, the invoker, the mundane, the sin eater, and the apprentice. I fear we may have fucked too hard. Can I say that?
There's one class we didn't really touch on. I've been trying to.
No, you're good. I imagine we're going to be in Vampire World for like 2 months. Don't worry about it. We'll definitely have time to do another episode of these if we think we don't have enough to fill out a good like stack of playbooks. What are you thinking? We just give us the name and the pitch, and then we got to end the call.
I sadly don't have a name or pitch. It's just like the class type. It's like a support almost.
A booster.
Yeah, it's something that heals the team through their blood or something.
Yeah. I'm gonna write it down right now. Don't even worry about it. I got you covered. Our healing class, the transfuser.
Yeah.
They take the blood of one and they give it to another. Plain and simple. It's easy street. And it has that built-in temptation. Now, I will say they might be a kind of sorcerer. Or it might be its whole own thing. Because the transfuser's thing is it's like you can give your blood. You can live as a transfuser and you will never die and you will help 1 million people. And you go to the hospital and you give them, you know, a quart of your blood and a pint of your blood and you're dizzy for the rest of the day. But you straight up cure their stage 4 bone cancer. Like that's what happens. Or you can just drain all of the blood out of some shithead and you can heal a whole hospital of people. Wouldn't that be tempting? How quick before it's like, yeah, you could do that. Your friend's ex who like beat them up. Who's gonna miss that guy? You could clear out
save the orphanage.
You could clear out the burn ward. You know, not everybody, but like a room. You could heal 3 people if you cut that guy's throat in the middle of the floor and use his blood to heal those people. How long before you give in to that temptation? How long before the keeper is like, this person's too sick for you to save with a quart of blood? You'd need to give a gallon to do it. How long until that conversation goes the wrong way? How long until one of your other teammates is dying, is in whatever our sort of death throes mechanic is, and all you need to do is tear the head off of one of those pedestrians cowering over there, and your friend, who is 500 years old, and who you have a deeper connection with than these baby humans could have, tear one of their heads off and your friend lives, and he helps you save the world. That person, if they could think objectively, they'd want to do it.
And we've established genetically, these people are more predisposed to being a little fucked up to begin with.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
as much as they want to help people, you're also willing to kill people sometimes. Like, you're gonna do it.
Yeah, you'd be the kind of... Now, I think that people who end up as transfusers are probably helpful and kind and studious people. How everybody in the world, including you watching right now, how far does a nice thought go before a nasty little thought is attached to it somewhere? And what if you lived to be 300 fucking years old? How often are you like, there shouldn't be, like, why do we have to deal with like parking tickets? And then it's like, well, because people drive bad. Why do they drive bad? Well, because there's irresponsible people behind the wheel. And how long does it really take before that thought starts to climb into the back of your head? They shouldn't be able to drive. Ooh.
Death Note type shit.
Who gets to pick? It's that Death Note type shit. You know, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Thank you so much for watching. This was an absolute blast for me. I hope it was for you. Keep following along as we keep workshopping this very fun and interesting world that we are increasingly creating. A place where, you know, plane crashes stranded in the Alps are discovered, and the people have torn each other to pieces. A place where countless different schools, bloodlines of magic exist, and they all have their own drawbacks and they all have their own rewards. And when you choose to play them, you choose to be the kind of person who would play them. I think that is so cool. I think that is so much fun, and it helps me understand why a vampire, like a consumptive, why they would be very careful about who they turn. Right? You're going to kill 90% of the people that you take blood out of, because you don't want to make a mundane, do you? And if you fuck it up, that's what you're gonna do. Having a mechanic where it's like, hey, as a player, careful. You know, if your wife gets old, that's so sad. Do you want to risk it? Like, does she need to? Or are you about to make a mundane? Ooh.
She's shown some signs that maybe she's a little prescient. Maybe she'll actually be a vampire.
Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe she'll be an invoker.
I love that. I think that is so cool. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you're just tuning in now, wind it back, rewatch it. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on TikTok. Check us out on Instagram. Spencer just posted a really good video on YouTube that deserves more love. Go watch it. Go like it. Go comment. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and stay foolish. Peace out.